You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure you visit the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe. Great food, great drinks, and great people. Awesome atmosphere. They also have the Send shuttle that takes you to and from the CTC. We have people on it right now heading to 779 Bank Street. Oh my goodness. The Senators did it again. Erase a third period deficit. They couldn't finish it off this time. A 3-2 loss in overtime to the top team in the East, the Boston Bruins. 3-2, the final score. Vladimir Tarasenko ties this game up with 3 minutes left, but then Brad Marchand on a 2-on-1. He keeps, he shoots, he scores, and the Ottawa Senators are now 4-1-2 in their last 7 games. I'm Ross Levitan alongside the entire Postcast crew. Brandon Piller at Piller Martian with us tonight. Pilsy, how'd you watch this one develop?
Well, Ross, this is the Postcast. We vibe or we vent, but we did coin a new term, and I'm going to go with that one for this one. Option number 3. This is going to be the Finecast. This is a full 60-minute effort, maybe a little more. It goes into overtime past regulation. The Ottawa Senators outshoot the Boston Bruins every single period. That first period was dominant until the Bruins got their power play. The Ottawa Senators had the Bruins without a shot for 17 and a half minutes, and they're able to win most categories statistically of this game, but ultimately it's a veteran team like the Boston Bruins that gets it done. Brad Marchand in overtime. But this is an effort where I'm not too upset with the team effort here. I really thought up against a team like the Boston Bruins, this was a fine effort. There was a couple players that had good nights, but unfortunately, they end up with the loss. But hey, Martian, as you posted on Twitter, getting another point ain't bad. We'll take the point.
Points in 5 straight, boys. You know, even though Boston's coming off a back-to-back, and you got to think that they're coming in a little bit tired here. The Sens put up, like you said, Pilsy, a really nice effort against a really good team. They held right in there. To come back in that third period was an accomplishment in itself. And they kind of came back twice in a way, right? With that disallowed goal off the hand pass from Matthew Joseph, and it was Josh Norris who ultimately ended up having that disallowed goal. But yeah, man, it's a little, it's easy to come away from this one maybe a little bit disappointed with them losing in overtime. But for me, I just can't be mad at it. I refuse to be mad at it. And I'm just doing just fine.
It's the Finecast. We're doing just fine. Yeah.
Hey, if you would have told me that the Ottawa Senators would have scored 2 goals on the power play in this game after what I watched on their first 2 attempts in this game, I would have called you crazy. They didn't even have 3 seconds of possession in the offensive zone, and then they give up. They give up a power play, and 3 seconds in, it goes bingo, bango, bongo in the back of the net. David Pastrnak makes no mistake. So the way that the quick strike offense came from Boston, their other goal in regulation came after a great opportunity. Thomas Chabot at the end of a power play where it was the Sens, I think, third power play and their first shot on goal, which only because it hit Swayman's pad on the way out. Otherwise, it hit the post, no shot on goal. What, Tom Barrasso voice? What, you want me to stop the ones going wide too? But it goes out, he kicks it, and the other way they come down and they shoot, they score as well. So I think for this one, it was an inopportune game. I would call it a game where the Bruins took advantage of the few opportunities they had. But man, the Senators again, and now that's even the Colorado game we keep going back to, that one, the goaltending let them down. But this is a consistent stretch of hockey now over the last 2 weeks where the Sens are playing real good hockey.
Yeah, like I mentioned, you can't be upset with that effort. And sure, the Bruins are on the second half of a back-to-back, but this is still a really good team. And if the Ottawa Senators power play was even just a little bit better earlier on and gained some momentum and maybe tired some of those penalty killers down, I really think that this was a winnable game. They certainly had the opportunities to put this one away. So it's unfortunate, but I don't know. It's tough when you're looking at Korpisalo in this game. That overtime goal is really tough to take a look at. And then, Martian, I'll let you hop in here. But the second goal I might have a bigger issue with. Frederick is very far out when he takes that shot, and Corpy is like 1.5 foot out of his crease. Like, I couldn't even believe there was any possible light or angle for that puck to go in. Like, that's a save where you got to make that save. So I thought he played a decent game, but again, it's shots just beating him clean that are putting this team down.
Yeah, and Pilsy, I mean, we know we're a goalie-friendly show here at the Locked On Senators podcast, so it's tough to do this for us. But for me, it wasn't even the second one, which in itself was probably not a perfect goal for him. It was the first one for me.
Okay.
And I mean, and I know I got a little bit of pushback on Twitter when I said, there wasn't much of a screen on that first shot. I know it's coming from an elite shooter in Pasternak. He's one of the NHL's best goal scorers. But the guy's at the blue line. He's standing at the point, and he's letting a wrister go. And Parker Kelly was off to the side. Korpisalo could see that puck. Somebody sent me a screenshot. You can see his face facing the puck. There's no reason why. I don't care who the shooter is. It's far enough out that as an NHL goaltender, I get it. It's a perfect shot, but you got to be able to get up there and save that thing. That's high blocker. It's not perfect for Korpisalo there. He's got to be able to just stop that puck for me. I just can't wrap my head around, even though whatever, power play, whatever you want to say, he's got to stop it. I need him to stop that one. And I always go back to now, it's like Korpisalo makes a lot of really good saves for this team, and he did it again tonight. Like, he had a few really nice saves throughout the game where it's like, okay, great save. He's keeping us in this thing. Let's get a few for him here. But it's the ones that he needs to stop are the ones that he's not stopping. So the overtime one, you can put it in that category. And that, for me, that Pasternak one, it's just like poor timing for the team as far as momentum goes. The Sens were carrying the play at that point in the game. You had a few chances of their own on the power play they weren't able to capitalize on. The first shot in the first
3 seconds.
In the first 3 seconds of the power play. I just need Korpisalo to stop that puck. Give me the first save some of the time, man. Like, he gets beat on the first shot a lot. And for me, I'd love to see him just, stop the first one. If he kicks out a rebound and that one ends up going in afterwards, I'm cool with it. But, just give me the first save. That's basically my point on that.
And I don't want this to turn into a pile-on Korpisalo game, even though you look at the numbers. They just weren't great. He did have a stretch in the second period where he was making a bunch of saves and keeping the Sens in the game, particularly. But it's another night where it's an .870 save percentage. The expected goals in the negative as well against him, or saves above expected, I should say. And bottom line is, I just don't feel confident when he's in goal. Even after they tied the game with 3 minutes left, there was even like a rush where it was Oscar Steen coming over the blue line. And I'm like right at the edge of my seat, please don't go in. Like, I shouldn't be like that when it's a fourth liner coming in and it's a 1-on-2 situation. So I think that's something that needs to be a little bit improved for him, is just allowing the team to play with a little more confidence in front of him. Like, they even pulled up that stat. They're like, he's 2-0-1 in his last 3 games with a .905 save percentage. Like, it's not even that impressive.
And that's what we're like really highlighting. Like, okay, Corpy's been good. The goalie coach has changed. He's been really good. And Ross, I totally agree with you. Like, I don't have that strong confidence with Corpy. Like, it was in the second period, Bruins 2-on-1. The pass goes over to the guy. I forget who shot it, and he shoots it, and Corpy makes the save and his stick falls. And when I'm watching it live, I'm like, oh, huge save by Corpy. I was so sure that guy was going to score. And then they show the replay. It hits his stick. Like, sure, you still got a nice save. He kept that out, but that more hit his stick. Like, it beat him clean. Just luckily his stick was there. And then it hit his stick so hard it fell out, and it looks like a big emphatic save. But that was one where most of the time he lets that in. And if he doesn't get lucky on that one, that's another goal, unfortunately.
He got lucky on another one too there, Pilsy, where Pasternak let a ripper go from the slot, and he didn't even see it. He didn't even see it coming, and it missed the net. But yeah, pure athleticism there from Corpy is not going to get him as far as he needs to go.
And that's why it looks like he makes big saves. Like, you look back and you're like, oh, I remember he made like 2 or 3 really big saves, but that's because, well, I feel like that's because, like that comment said, he's got the athleticism, so he's able to rely on his reflexes. But honestly, the sign of a good goalie usually is it doesn't look like he's making big saves because he's right there. His positioning, his timing, his angles are all perfect. It just hits him.
Well, Connor Hellebuck Saturday against the Sens, like, he was unreal, but he didn't.
So calm. Yeah,
there was no highlight reel save that you look back on and be like, Hellebuck stole the game with that save, but he gave up 0 rebounds and everything just in his chest. He was just positionally sound. And that's a difference between an elite goalie and a goalie that can have flashes of brilliance, but less sustained success. All right. That's enough about it. Joonas Korpisalo, because I don't think he was a main story in that game. Sure, you'd like to have the overtime goal back, but the Senators, I mean, 6 power plays to 1 in this game. Like, they had every opportunity to come back into it. And especially like that Trent Frederick penalty. I don't know if it was the one. Yeah, it was the one before the Shabbat goal to make it 2-1. You could hear the mic in the arena picking up because Chychrun was giving it to the guy behind him, the other Bruins player. And the ref's like, Chicky, watch out, Chicky. And then they blew it down. I thought they were calling Chychrun 100% for cross-checking there. But then sure enough, Frederick was shocked it was him. And then they were able to make it play, a nice little tic-tac-toe play that started with Jacob Chychrun holding the puck in at the blue line. Then Stützle went down low, and it's almost become a patented pass from Drake Batherson. We've seen him do that time and time again, the little backhand shovel feed cross seam, and Shabbat did a great job of sneaking down below coverage and getting that one in the back of the net. Before we get to the other ones, one other note that I want to get to in this game is Shane Pinto and his first home game. Great ovation, it sounded like, when he was introduced with the starting lineup. So great to see him back, the whole family, Kathy and everybody in the stand supporting them. And you know what I really missed, fellas? Those Shane Pinto bumper plays on the power play. They almost scored. He almost knocked Jeremy Swayman into his own net in the third period.
Yeah, and that's especially a good play between him and Giroux. Like, I feel like him and G have that connection, and they're able to not only know where that player is, but be able to one-touch pass it right on his tape. Like, they've got that down to a T. So that's another part of Shane Pinto coming back. Is we've talked about how bad this power play is, most notably how bad the first power play unit seems to be. So you get Pinto in the mix on that second unit, and hopefully you can try to make up for some of the lack of offense that the first unit has and get G and Pinto clicking. And it already seems like they have that chemistry even early on in Pinto's return.
Martian, I want to get your take on the newly formed power play units that we saw in tonight's game. It was Jacob Chychrun with Thomas Shabbat, so a 2 defenseman system on the top unit, I'll call it, because they went out first, and maybe this was, I actually should probably call it the second, because wherever Tkachuk is the first unit. But the first unit that went out on the first power play, and yeah, the tripping penalty was against Tkachuk, so they had just gone out on the ice. But so the 2 units, 1A, 1B, call it what you want. Jacob Chychrun, Thomas Shabbat, Tim Stützle, Drake Batherson, and Vladimir Tarasenko. And then the second unit was Sanderson, Giroux, Norris, Pinto, and Tkachuk. What did you think of them?
I mean, I like that they're changing it up. I mean, obviously the power play is something that's not working lately. So the fact that they're even worth changing it up, and I liked your tweet earlier, Ross, like maybe just mix in the fourth line, just throw them out there to send a message to the boys, because they're not getting it done.
I was thinking the same.
Dude, you know, I sent that while Chychrun was walking the line, and as I hit send, 4 seconds later, they scored the goal. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty funny, but like, I mean, yeah, sure, maybe just mix it up, right? Like, that's all you need to do to maybe just get the chemistry working for the guys. Like, it's all a confidence thing. The power play should be such a simple thing. It's like, you got an extra guy out there. You guys are professional hockey players. Just find the open man, make a play, and make something happen. Get some shots on goal. Enter the zone, for God's sake. But even that was a bit of an issue early in the game tonight for the boys. So whatever. I mean, honestly, I don't have a very strong opinion on the new units. I doubt that we're going to continue to see those 2 units together consistently. I mean, 2 for 6 is a fine percentage. It's not like over the top.
But they cleaned that up. That's classic. They cleaned it up.
Yeah, if they didn't get those last 2 power plays near the end of the game, then it would have been a whole different story for us here. But at the same time, yeah, Ross, I think they just need to find the right combinations. Pinto helps a lot. Like you said, that little bumper play is beautiful. It's so fast, and he's got such a great release that it always kind of seems to work. If he didn't miss the net there, that would have been huge.
Yeah,
on that big opportunity that I think we're both thinking of the same one. But yeah,
my biggest problem here with those power play units, though, is you're relying on Timmy to take faceoffs on the first unit, and they haven't been able to control because they've got Pinto, Norris, and Giroux all in the same unit, and Tkachuk.
Tkachuk, yeah.
Like, you're leaving yourself. Like, Drake Batherson was taking too many faceoffs tonight for my liking.
Yeah, you almost think that like they're expecting them to just be able to change on the fly or something like that. Get Timmy's unit out there secondarily, but
Drake went 1 for 5. Drake went 1 for 5, all in the offensive zone tonight, 20%.
Yeah, that's too many.
It's not perfect.
No, not perfect at all. What else wasn't perfect was, and this would have been a lot earlier in the postcast recap if they didn't end up tying the game on the Vladimir Tarasenko goal we haven't got to yet. But what do you guys think of the hand pass by Matthew Joseph, where Josh Norris banged it home in front, and it was initially called a goal, but then the refs congregated, and ultimately it was ruled a hand pass. Pilsy, what'd you think of that one?
On the live shot, I really didn't think there was anything there. I was kind of like, what's even the point of reviewing this? But then the issue is, it's possible to get pulled back. Watch the player's reactions. As soon as Norris scores, he doesn't selly. He looks over at the ref. That's when that's almost like a proof of guilt kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, he thinks something's up there. And look, maybe I don't fully know the rules of the hand pass, but it does look like Joseph is trying to scoop it. Now, I think Joseph was trying to play it to himself, not play it to Norris. But if you're looking at that, I'm pretty sure that hits Joseph's hand. And if we're calling that a hand pass, it goes to Norris. I guess by way of the rule book, that's no goal. It's a hand pass. Now, do I agree with that? Do I think it literally flicking off Joseph's glove was a perfectly intentional play that was an unfair advantage that set Norris up for that goal? Obviously not. But if that's the rule, then that's how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, that one's a weird one for me too, Pilsy, because obviously, like, by the way of the book, as you said, that shouldn't have counted. We saw it in a Leafs game earlier I think it was only just a couple weeks ago, if not last week, where a very kind of similar play happened, but it was along the wall instead of in front of the net like that. And they reviewed it, but it was on a coach's challenge. This one was strange because they called it a goal on the ice, and there was no challenge from Boston. But what happened is the referees reversed the call on their own by having a conversation after the goal. And then it was up to the Sens to decide if they wanted to challenge, saying, no, it wasn't a hand pass. I would have loved to see, they called it a goal on the ice. Let Boston challenge it. And if it was a hand pass, it was a hand pass. Then you can, disallow the goal at that point. But they kind of ended up putting the onus on the Sens. And of course, they're not going to risk reversing that call and having to go down on a failed coach's challenge and then have to go down on the man advantage. So I don't know. That was kind of sketchy to me, but whatever. It is what it is. They ended up getting another one, so it's fine.
What did you guys see on that Tarasenko goal, Martian? I'll get Pilsy because Hansel wants to chime in on his on that Tarasenko goal.
Hansel, not a fan of that no goal. This was actually a nice play all around. And I really like this, Ross, because you mentioned how it was tough for the Sens to win faceoffs on the power play. The Sens, they don't win a clean faceoff here, but they battle for that puck on the draw. It's stuck right in the dot there. And usually the Sens lose that puck battle 9 out of 10 times. The other teams out-muscle them, out-effort them, easy clear, and the whole power plays pretty much over at that point. Like, that's just usually how it goes. But they battle here. And then Shabbat gets it over to Tarasenko. Tarasenko is really selling shot. Like, he's like, hey, I'm a 30 goal scorer. I'm shooting this puck. He's loading up the wrist shot. And Batherson, this is a great play by Batherson that he won't get an assist on, but it's one of those the hockey guys know. He's screening out front. He waits, he times it. He sees the loaded wrist shot, does a little one of these, like almost like a Matrix or what was that movie, Wanted, where they dodge bullets. That was a move that Batherson does. Swayman can't see it. It's a beautiful shot. I bet even if Swayman does see it, he might not stop that shot. Tucked right behind the bar. Nice, clean goal from Tarasenko. I loved it, Ross. I love that goal.
Yeah, so did I, man. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. I know that it's never easy to have your name in trade rumors. Now, Tarasenko is the hammer. He's got the no move clause. So if he doesn't want to go anywhere, he's not going anywhere. But
and a full no move clause at that. Very rare.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 32, he's got a cup under his belt, and I know that his agent kind of screwed him this offseason with changing afterwards. He didn't get the long-term deal that he wanted, but man, he's a fun player. I saw Marco tweeted at us, the Sen Central Citizen, and said he's got a bit of Mark Stone in his game, where he's never moving too fast, but he always seems to be in the right spot and make the right play. So a bit of a cool analogy there. I like that. And a Swanky Pants, we appreciate it. He's in there with Tarasenko talk too. Hoping that he signs with decent value. What a time to be a Sens fan. Thank you, Swanky Pants. Always appreciate you coming into the postcast. And yeah, we talked about that on Locked On Senators today, and we will continue to focus on that in the 40 plus days leading up to the trade deadline. What do you do with Vladimir Tarasenko? because he clearly fits in with this group. And I wonder what the long-term implications of that, or will, like Steve Staios said, the market simply dictate it. Because if you get an offer you can't refuse, you simply can't refuse it. So we'll be discussing that over the next little while on Locked On Senators. But first, let me tell you about the Glebe Central Pub. But first, I also should say that we got our Sen Central standouts coming up. The Sen Central standouts are always presented by the Glebe Central Pub. You can find the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe. Great food, great drinks, awesome atmosphere, and they have the Sen Shuttle for just $17. Pillsy, not only that, I know you're a big live music guy. Glebe Central Pub has live music every Saturday in the month of February.
Nice. Getting it rocking at the CTC. And Ross, we have been really getting into the PWHL recently. There is no better place to go for pre and post game drinks and food than the Glebe Central Pub in the heart of the Glebe at 779 Bank Street.
The Glebe Central Pub is where you can get all the food, drinks, and atmosphere that you need. Go play on the dartboard. Go watch the game there. It's all at the Glebe Central Pub. Visit their website, glebecentralpub.com, and you'll grab your tickets to the Sens Shuttle. The Sens Shuttle, $17 to and from the CTC. Glebe Central Pub, 779 Bank Street. Let them know Locked On Senators sent you.
And this episode is also brought to you by Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one convenient place. You don't have to spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all in one easy place with Indeed. Candidates you invite to apply through Indeed Match are 3 times more likely to apply through Instant Match than when they just see it in the search. So as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and they can apply right away. Sit back and relax. Indeed does the hard work for you. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and at Laleem's Martian. You can follow the Martian on Twitter at Laleem's Martian. You can follow us at Sen Central. Subscribe to the pod wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. We've got bonus PWHL content that will be weekly. And of course, 5 days a week, we are your team every day, plus the Postcast where we vent, vibe, or we're doing just fine. The Senators, man, points in 5 straight. They're 4-1-2 in their last 7 games. Hey, they've got a couple more tough games coming up. Saturday against the New York Rangers, Monday against Nashville, and then they wrap up the, I don't want to call it the first half of the season because they're past 41 games, the pre-All-Star portion of their schedule, the rematch, the one that's been circled for over a month at Detroit. Could it be fight night at I want to say at Joe Louis Arena, the old boxer and all, but I get it. They
Little
built
Caesars Arena, even more intimidating.
Doesn't sound as intimidating, that's for sure. Boys, before we get to our Sen Central standouts presented by the Glebe Central Pub, Ridley Gregg only played 9 minutes in this game. Did anyone in the chat, can they chime in? Did you see him go awkwardly? He was on the bench the whole game. He just simply didn't play. And if you're looking at it, typically on Money Puck, they show all the lines. Like they show every second that all line combinations were out there. And the Senators, I don't think I've ever seen them use this many line combinations. It was all over the place. And the lineup was in flux all day because Dominic Kubalik was expected to play. When they posted their lineups after the morning skate, he was in the lineup. Heck, he even spoke to the media today about how excited he was to play in front of his mom, who's still here after the mother's trip. But he was out. Rourke Chartier was in. And then, Ridley Gregg just pretty much sat on the bench all night. So did you guys see anything that happened, Martian?
No, I actually didn't see anything that he did in particular that would warrant him getting benched. I don't know if maybe he had a little minor tweak or injury that kept him out of the game. That's my main assumption because he's been playing so well of late. You wouldn't think that even though he's a rookie, one little mistake would lead to him being benched. But, I mean, it is Jacques Martin we're talking about here. He's never the kindest to young forwards, so we'll see. But for me, I didn't see anything, Ross. Like there was nothing in particular for me. Like 933 tonight that's a low total for him. We've seen him get close to 20 minutes recently.
He only had 4 shifts in the final half of the game, 3 in the third period, and one of those shifts was 24 seconds. So he just barely played.
If he was out there for a couple shifts, that tells you that he probably wasn't hurt. So maybe it was just as simple as it be a benching. Maybe jocks are something he didn't like, and you just said, Ridley, you know what? It's not your night tonight, buddy. Have a little seat on the bench.
That's so weird though, because Ridley's been one of the best, most consistent player, and he's played first line center for this team, and now he's on the wing. He's doing whatever they ask, and I didn't see anything egregious. So this is an interesting one for sure. But also, I do want to get back to that. That was super weird that Kubalik didn't play. I hope we can get to the bottom of that. I mean, not that it matters that much, but it's just so weird that Martin said it earlier. You had to interview his mom stayed after the mom's trip to see him. Like, I don't know. It seems strange.
Well, we'll find out sooner or later. I mean, he was dealing with a minor injury. That's what they said he came out of the lineup for. So I know everyone was quick to be like, "Oh, sure, yeah, okay." Right when Pinto can come back, a guy comes out of the lineup with a minor injury who maybe you'd rather have as some trade value. But a strange situation tonight then with Ridley Gregg not playing a whole lot. So we'll look for that on Saturday. And if it was a benching, I'm going to be looking even more particularly at Ridley Gregg, because I want to see how he bounces back as a guy who's as competitive as he is. And the Rangers, they have a bit more, I'd say, physicality, maybe a little more grittiness than the Bruins. I didn't really notice Marchand doing any of his theatrics tonight or anything, but we know that the Rangers play a tough brand of hockey with Trouba and Kreider leading the way for them. So that's going to be a great game down at Canadian Tire Center on Saturday. Of course, you can take the Glebe Central Pub to that. And Ottawa's already beaten the Rangers so far this season. So it'd be great to get another win against a first-place team. So they dealt with first place in the East today. Now they've got first place in the Metropolitan Division on Saturday. Should we get to some Sen Central standouts, boys? Martian, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. And I had my guy picked out already. So I'm going to go with Thomas Chabot. I think Thomas just had a really nice game today. He was flying out there. He played over 24 minutes. I think he got the assist on one of those goals there, and he had a great little finish on the power play. So for me, Thomas Chabot had a good game. 7 shots on goals, fella. That's not bad. We'll take that all day from Thomas Chabot. So he's starting to get in the groove a little bit. He's been a bit of an offensive threat lately. So I thought Thomas had one of his better games of the season, and I love to see that from him. So I'm going to go with Thomas Chabot as my standout tonight.
Yeah, you took mine, Martian. That's he definitely, I thought, was Ottawa's best player tonight. And he had that chance, like Ross mentioned earlier on in the game, where he hits the post and then it goes off Swayman's pad and almost went in there. So, yeah, he had a lot of good opportunities. You want to see more games like that from Thomas Chabot moving forward.
And I love him getting in the mix right after scoring a goal. Little shades of Mark Kastelik's first NHL goal, where you get the fight after the goal almost immediately. So you score the goal, you're all fired up. Somebody gets in your face, and you're just like, "Hey, you know what? I just scored a goal, so suck on that one."
Yeah, Chabot definitely was not happy about that one.
He got popped by McAvoy. You don't have to see the guy who's holding the jersey hand. Just give him a little chin music there. He had to get not stapled up, but they had to get the towel out for him.
Yeah,
he was definitely leaking. So yeah, great game for Thomas Chabot, goal and an assist. Martian as well. So he was all over the score sheet in this one. He was all over the ice too. I wonder what the NHL Edge stats say for this. I wish you could find those game by game. I know you can do it for the whole season, but I feel like he covered a ton of ice tonight. He was moving all over the place. Yeah. The one nitpick is that he was pretty deep on that second goal in the zone entry when Trent Frederick has it. He was down at the hash marks, basically.
Are you knocking my standout, Ross?
No, I think it was great. I think it was great. We just want to make it a little contentious here. I'm getting vibes of the Ring of Honor with this one. But no, great standout.
That's what I was too. I was feeling the Ring of Honor all over again. You go after my guy.
Great game for Thomas Chabot for sure. No, absolutely. Pilsy, go ahead.
All right. Well, Chabot was definitely going to be mine. So I will pivot, and I will go with the other goal scorer, Vladimir Tarasenko. Like I mentioned, that shot was just so filthy. Even if Batherson's not in front screening there, I think he might still beat Swayman clean. And it just, you're really starting to see over a consistent basis how good Vladimir Tarasenko is, and not just from goal scoring. Like, he's able to do so much more throughout the game. And I'm just trying to find his recent stats. Like, he's been scoring a bunch in January. Like, I feel like that's when he's really heated up. It wasn't that good in November, but yeah, I'm looking at his last couple of games and he's racking up the points here. So Vladimir Tarasenko,
he's got 7 goals in 12 games in January now.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. That's a stat I was looking for. So, and also a lot of these goals are big goals, right? He scored 2 game-winning goals recently, and then he scores the goal to tie it here late in the game. So that's what you want to see from the veteran sniper.
He has 19 points now in his last 25 games.
Yeah.
Vladimir Tarasenko starting from December 1st on. So in December and January. So yeah, no, that's a great call, Pillsy. And I actually liked his game before the goal as well. So it was just a nice cherry on top for his game that he was able to put the puck in the back of the net. For my
projection, Ross, just before you get to your guy, on the flip side of that, guys, in January, I'm looking at the Seltzer knocker.
Oh, no goals.
No goals in January. He's doing dry January. He's just not scoring this month. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He looks like a different player too. So I had to just give him a quick, he knocked my Seltzer. I got to give him a quick knock here too. Like, get some pucks in the back of the net. I know that he had the disallowed one goal, the one tonight, but Josh, you're here to score goals, buddy. You need to start doing that.
And ironically, his goal streak ended before 11 straight now, because he didn't get one tonight that counted. But before that, he had goals in 5 straight games during right before Christmas, and then that it all culminated with the win where he had a goal and an assist against the Pittsburgh Penguins, where Timmy had the OT winner in that game. So he was on a nice little run there, and then it's been absolutely quiet since. Only 2 assists in his last number of games. So I'm hoping for more from him. Yeah, 2 assists, no goals in his last 11 games now, or 3 assists rather, because he did get the secondary on the Tarasenko goal. So Eliminator saying he was more physical tonight needs to be even more, man. I need to notice this guy a lot more every single night. And Joe saying that he's probably in his head a little bit, palm face, saying he's looking like a bottom sixer right now. I mean, with Shane Pinto in, and we saw the line combinations throughout the second half of the game, Shane Pinto was getting a few shifts in his spot, and I didn't hate it. So we'll see. There were so many line combos tonight. It was actually a little bit overwhelming. Yeah. So hopefully they can get that sorted out. No line for Ottawa played over 554 was the most. And if you put that conversely, the Coyle Pasternak Martian line played 12 minutes and 40 seconds together. Yeah. No line on Ottawa played more than 5.5 minutes together. So it was a complete shuffle for Jacques Martin on the bench and Daniel Alfredson running the forwards in tonight's game. That being said, I've got a decision to make, and I'm between a couple guys. If you look at just the numbers, there's a few guys who had games where they just don't pass the eye test for me. Like Brady's expected goals percentage is enormous tonight. I didn't think he had a good game.
Not a good game for Brady.
He was tripping over himself, and I'm not blaming him for missing the rebound on that Timmy chance in overtime. It was a bouncing puck 3 feet in the air. You'd love to get it, but that's to me not the be all end all of his game. I would also like to see a little bit of a quicker back check. Not that he probably would have got there. That's just kind of what 3-on-3 is you get your chance, you give it up. You get your chance, you give it up. But overall, it was a bad game for the captain, I'll say. So where am I going to go with my Sen Central standout?
Yeah, I don't think it's just
elimination. Process of elimination. It's not going to be Kachuk. It's not going to be Norris.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be Eunice Corpusalo. It's not going to be Chikrin, although I thought he was decent in tonight's game. I'll just go with Pinto. I thought it was a good game for him. He got 4 shots on goal, 3 hits as well. And to me, he passed the eye test. He was again 55% in the dot. So I mean, that's been the best part of seeing Shane Pinto back and seeing him, contributing where he left off was probably, I think he was doing okay in the face-off dot, but we knew that he had more in him. And as centermen get stronger, they'll be able to snap more back. So let's hope that continues on and on a little bit more here. But yeah, I'm going to go with Shane Pinto as my Central standout.
Oh, we didn't leave you much there, Ross. So
yeah,
that was a good recovery.
Thanks. I tap danced all around that. Now, Martian, can we show the people your work of art here with the Belleville Senators?
Oh man, I would love that. I'm actually really pumped about this. I'm super happy that this is actually going to happen. So the Belleville Sens on February 19th are going to be wearing a jersey that I helped design, which I think is pretty cool. I'm proud of myself for this. So yeah, they reached out to me. They said, "Do you want to help us design this jersey? I think you feel like you would know what the Sens fans would be looking for." And I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do that." So I you can see it's like the old Senegal design, little added white stripe in there.
And I can zoom in on the logo too.
And yeah, and the logo is the cool part, right? Because people who remember the Binghamton Senators logo, that's kind of the look that we're going for there. And then they made sure they wanted me to, because it's family day, it's for the kids. They wanted me to incorporate the mascot, Belly. Pilsy, aka Pilsy. That one night, Pilsy wore the Belly costume one night, so I gave him a bit of a meaner look, and we threw him on that old Binghamton looking jersey or logo. So I mean, I'm proud of it. I think it's really cool. Hopefully, people are into it. Hopefully, the kids enjoy it, and I just think it's really neat that the B Sens are going to be wearing a jersey that I helped design.
So we get one or what?
I will be. I don't know what you got.
You didn't negotiate it in?
Yeah, I know I should have, but I think me and Pilsy also might have plans to be determined. But Pilsy and I are going to try to get boots on the ground for that one. I got to get him his fire helmet here too for the postcast. So
we'll meet halfway in Belleville.
Yeah, that'll be the perfect halfway meeting spot for me and Pils to get together and enjoy a little Sens hockey. Maybe do a little post game party with the fellas, and I think that'll be a good little night for everybody. So I'm excited about that, and it's a matinee game too. So I love a good matinee. I always say that.
I'm so disrespected that you didn't negotiate in a jersey for me.
I know, it's almost like the time you guys got reverse retros and I didn't, right?
Oh my goodness. No. No, we only got one.
I was going to say.
Is that Bills? You didn't get one either? Oh,
no, I didn't get one either. That's why I was laughing, Martian. Ross didn't cut it in half with scissors.
What am I going to do? We're cut it in half?
Listen, we're not great negotiators in the postcast here. We're working on it.
But Martian, I want to thank you for putting laurels on that jersey. Everybody knows, big laurel guy. I think it's.
I wonder how my vectors are too. I don't know about my vectors.
The vectors and the laurels. I'm pretty sure Martian and I are going to go to this game. So let's try to get a good crew out for that one. It's going to be fun. Belleville, a good time, and. Get some of that merch, Martian designed Belleville stuff. Like, that's so cool. You get to design something that AHL players of your team are going to wear. Well,
and I was texting with Tyler Boucher earlier today. I said, you're going to be scoring a hat trick in those jerseys, right? And he's like, yeah, man, it's guaranteed. So there you go. If you want to catch that, you might want to be boots on the ground.
Justin S. writes in, how do you weigh in on Tim Stützle's game tonight? I thought he continues to up his dangle game. He got out of the trolley tracks tonight in the third period. I thought he was going to get killed. He had a couple of good all around the world moves where he's coming up and he just does the whole circle around. And yeah, he was dancing tonight. He's definitely got his confidence back. So I'm not going to nitpick him at that point. Pillsy, you've famously kind of said you live and die with Timmy. There was some times where we're 6 feet deep for a little while, but now we've climbed out of our casket and we're ready to dance with them again. So I'd still like him to finish a little bit better on the shot, but man, he is dancing out there for sure.
Yeah, and he really utilized his speed in tonight's game, I found. Like, there's so many times where, like you mentioned, he's able to dance through, go coast to coast and enter the zone. But there was one play, I forget when it was. I think it was on one of the earlier power plays where Stützle gets the puck at the blue line, puts on the Jets and just goes right to the slot. Everybody thinks he's going to drive the lane or try to get a quick shot, and then drop pass for Chabot. Chabot teed up a nice slap shot. Swayman with the save and hold, but that was a nice play to kind of use your speed for deception, making everyone collapse towards the net and opening up that space for Chabot to get a point shot. So there was a lot. That's the thing with Tim Stützle, and you said it, Ross. I will live and die with his creativity and his dangles, because sometimes a defensive player is going to be smart and just easily poke a stick at it and it's not going to look pretty. But then other times Timmy's going to outdangle him and he's going to get through and he's going to create something out of nothing. So that's exciting hockey. I'm not going to bash a player for trying to be creative and have the skill that Tim Stützle has.
Awesome. Justin, thanks for writing in. We appreciate you always coming to the Postcast, a real true citizen. Now, let's get to some Jacques Martin audio. We like going through this after games. We've got 4 minutes of Jacques coming up next on Locked On Senators Postcast.
Jacques, is this a case of getting rewarded for sticking to the game plan once again?
Yeah, it's, disappointed to lose a point, but I thought we stuck with it. I thought we persevered, played the right way most of the time. They're a good team. They're a top team, and we had our opportunities, and so it just regroup and be another tough opponent on Saturday night.
I think the power play started off really struggling and then ended up, tying the game for you. What changes were made?
Well, the changes were made actually before the game. Yesterday we changed the whole power play situation where we've gone more with one line being one power play, the other line being the other power play, and having 2 units and let them battle it out. So who's going to perform the best may start, or who's fresher is going to start. And yes, the first period wasn't good, but we haven't had a chance either to practice as like the breakouts. We just practiced in zone this morning because we had no practice yesterday. So I was happy with the results, and we got 2 big goals from that.
Do you think you showed good composure when you got down 2-0?
Yeah, I think our composure was good. I think I thought that we stuck to the game plan, and we made a couple of mistakes that cost us goal. But I think overall, I like the effort. I like how we. I think both games. You look at the game we lost to Winnipeg. We lost tonight 3-2 in overtime. We're seeing more poise and more composure.
You changed all your lines in the third period. Is it just trying to give a different look to get away from certain matchups?
I think, trying to get a little more from certain people and just trying to shake things up. And I thought it was good. I thought the response was good, and we were able to tie it and bring it to overtime.
I think if you could find consistency, do you think if you could find consistency with your power play, it might lead to more consistency in the win column?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both special teams. I mean, when you look at Boston, I think they're top 5. In both. Good teams. A lot of times they're in top 10. Both power play. And that's we know that. And by the time I came on, we're just trying to adjust as we move along. The tough part is we're getting very little practice. We didn't have practice yesterday because I felt that we needed the rest after the emotional trip. Tomorrow's a day off. We play Saturday. Sunday is a skill competition. We play, Monday, and then there's been so many games, and sometimes like specialty teams, you need to have some touches. You need to work on it on a daily basis.
Peux-tu parler des améliorations que tu as faites sur le montage numérique puis ça te donne
Bien, je pense que une ligne.
ça te réjouit.
All right, we respect but don't need to hear, I don't think, the French portion of the Jacques Martin press conferences here. If you want the full one, you can go check that out on the Ottawa Senators YouTube page and on Sen's Twitter. They asked about the line changes into the third period, but not necessarily about Ridley Gregg in particular. But Martian, what did you take away from Jacques Martin's speech there?
Yeah, I mean, nothing crazy there from Jacques. I would have loved to hear somebody ask about the Ridley Gregg. I mean, if I was in that scrum, that would have been my first question. It's like, oh, Ridley Gregg, big cutback in ice time tonight. What was the story there? Was he hurt, or was that a coaching decision? That's a simple
Great
question,
Martian.
Yeah, and you know what? Thank you, Pilsy. Thank you so much, man. But yeah, no, honestly, it's a little. Maybe the reporters in the room. It's right after the game. Like, we have the opportunity to go in and look at the box score.
No excuses. They got to be better, Martian.
Anyways, they should have probably asked about that, because I would have loved to know the answer there. Maybe tomorrow we get to hear, maybe they get the chance to see that was the thing, and maybe we get that question asked eventually. But it would have been nice to get that answer tonight. But other than that, I don't really have any key takeaways from that presser.
It was funny to hear Jacques Martin kind of complaining about the no practices. I don't know who his gripe with is, and normally Jacques isn't kind of an excuses guy, and he was really hammering home, "Hey, we don't get to practice.
He loves
no practice time."
He loves practice.
But I get what he's saying. Like the things you need to practice are the special teams, especially the power play, big time, and they play every other night seemingly. So it is tough to get the practices in. But I just thought that was a different approach from him.
How come they don't take that to a morning skate? Like if practicing a certain part of the game is such a big issue, why don't they just, I know morning skate's more of just like a kind of warm up and get your legs going for the day sort of thing. But like, why don't they just go optional skate for everybody except for the guys who are in the power play? We got some stuff we need to work on here tonight.
Maybe a CBA thing. I don't know.
Well, I've watched a few morning skates when I was doing the Jets games earlier in December, and like there's no drills. It's literally just like,
yeah, you're just getting out there.
Nothing between the ears. It's literally just go, get a couple strides in, and away you go.
Yeah, fire a couple pucks, make a few saves.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But when you don't have the time,
make use of the time you do have, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Final thoughts on this postcast. It's a 3-2 overtime loss to the Boston Bruins. The Ottawa Senators tie it up with 3 minutes left in the third period, but cannot convert in overtime. Brad Marchand wins it on a 2-on-1 keep, 1 minute and 48 seconds into the extra frame after Tim Stützle had a rush the other way, but it just bounced over Brady Tkachuk's stick. The play goes the other way, and it's in the back of the net just like that. Pillsy, final thoughts on today's game.
Yeah, this is a game where obviously you're disappointed you don't get the win. You had an opportunity to put away the Boston Bruins, especially with how well you played tonight for the Ottawa Senators. But overall, I'm not upset. At least they got it to overtime. Like you said, they traded chances in overtime. It's not like the Bruins just dominated and Brad Marchand gets one off just a cheeky wrister coming down the wing. So that's not really a team breakdown like we're used to seeing, or an embarrassing loss or anything like that. So Postcast, we vent or vibe, or it's the Finecast. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators Finecast.
And just because Justin's such a great citizen, he's always throwing in some toonies in the jar. We do have to react to this at the very end of the postcast. Brendan Gallagher, I'm surprised that if he was going to go into his bag of tools, that he wasn't going to do that against the Sens, honestly. And you have to go see the video if you haven't yet. It was maybe the most egregious play we've seen in the National Hockey League this season. And Nick Cousins has been playing all season, and he's done some greasy things. But this takes the cake. Just a breakout. Adam Pelech paying no attention to a blindside elbow to the side of the head. And this no talent, irrelevant fossil at 30 years old who signed for 3 more seasons, making $9 million, by the way, in money, Brendan Gallagher next season. Just the shrug after it, just being like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Was an all-time goofus move. Yeah. Goofus.
Yeah, friggin' goofus.
It's like a doofus and a goof combined.
Is it not a word?
No.
Word of the day, goofus. Definitely not a word.
Word of the day, hit the chime.
Goofus. A foolish or stupid person, often used as a general term of abuse.
Ross always gets the weird words.
Ross,
okay, I gotta give you that one.
Urban Dictionary is not a real.
How about the Oxford Dictionary, you goofus? Ever heard of it?
Hey, that is a perfect way to describe Brendan Gallagher, though.
Yeah, he is a goofus. You're right about that. And Ross, like
Goofus
Adam
Galley.
Pelech, I don't know what Adam Pelech's current status is. Like, I hope he's okay. But like that to me is just as dirty as like that's like almost like Matt Cook on Mark Savard, if you remember that one. And that threw that guy into the shadow realm for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's as dangerous as a hit as you could possibly have. The puck was gone. He had already made the pass. I get it. It's a fast game. But when you stick your elbow out like that is blatant and that is intentional. And I hope they absolutely throw the gosh darn book at him. Boys, like if that was an Ottawa Senator, we would be out with pitchforks and torches,
Yeah,
ready to go to Montreal to burn down.
We'd march down to Montreal or up, I guess. So yeah, we'd be having the pitch forks.
Like
And
imagine you made that
torches
hit on. I mean, Adam Pellick's no, he's a good defenseman.
He's a big part of that team.
He's a big part of their team. He's an important part of their team. And also the thing is, we see so many fights after clean hits nowadays. The fact that nobody went and tried to rip Gallagher's head off after that, like that's the one time where it's okay.
I thought Patrick Wall was going to do it.
Yeah,
you should have. You hammer that guy until you get ripped off of him. It's a green light. So for me, that's just a disgusting hockey play. It's not even a hockey play. It's just a disgusting move by a dirty player who's washed as hell. So what a scumbag he is. I hope they give him at least 20. The people are saying 10, 5 to 10. I go, no, give me 20 for that crap. That's garbage. You want to talk about headshots and taking it out of the game? There's such a thing as it's not on purpose headshot. That was he was trying to hurt the guy.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
You throw the book at him. Whatever the maximum they can give this guy is. That
Agreed.
Pinto just got 41 games for whatever, allegedly setting a fantasy football lineup through proxy. Like, what do you do to a guy who's trying to rip off another? It basically could have ended this guy's career. So you smoke him, you hit him right in the pocketbook, and he should be done for a long time. And that's doing the Habs a favor because he's a piece of crap player.
Yeah.
Well said.
And watch Habs fans come in and say that he dove. You know, they love telling Ottawa Senators players that they dove. Obviously, that's tongue-in-cheek. Pillsy, that's going back to me saying, hey, if you go to the same lake every weekend and you catch a million fish, obviously I'm going to have a little fun on the TSN thing saying that they're going to say that. I've got 50 replies of Habs fans calling me all sorts of names because I had the egregious...
Anybody call you a goofus, though?
No, nobody
Good.
Called me a goofus.
All right, you let me know if someone says that.
Yeah, you'll stand up for me. Thanks, Bills. Let's get some ghost ends going in the chant. Honestly, 4-1-2, considering where they were when they got back from that road trip, 4-1-2 is pretty solid. And when the two OT losses, you were down in the third period to two of the best teams in the National Hockey League. 2 days ago, the Jets and Bruins were 1-2 in the NHL. And you put them both, you come back in the third period. The Sens before this little stretch, when they were trailing when they were trailing going into the third period, it was good night, Jim Kite. Like there was no chance they were going to come back. Now they're 2-18-2 when they're down going into the third period. So resilience, they would have folded like a cheap tent in the DJ Smith era, down 2 against the Boston Bruins. So I'm proud of the way that they've played overall as a team, and that's without some of their best players playing some of their good hockey. Like I think Brady's got an extra gear. We know he always gets up for those New York Rangers matchups, and I'm excited to see him. We'll get to our lockdown player tomorrow on the show. We got Kenzie Lalonde coming on the show tomorrow as well. Really looking forward to all that. Martian, you got some final thoughts for us?
Not really. Pillsy kind of said it all for us there. I think, he wrapped that one up nicely. So, I mean, it's a good team they were playing against. They were on a back-to-back. Sens just couldn't get it done. A little bit of a tough start. I thought they did a good job coming back, and then they couldn't finish it off in overtime. For me, it's satisfactory. I'm okay.
And you're boots on the ground Saturday?
I will be boots on the ground Saturday. Yes, I will. I'm excited.
Nice.
Okay, if there's a win, you're calling in. Live on location.
We know how that sometimes goes for me when I try to call in after having a really nice time watching the Sens play when I'm boots on the ground. How about this? I will do my best, Ross.
All right. That's all we can ask.
Yeah.
Do your best. For Atlalim's Martian, that's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. You can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get yours. Go check out today's show. We reacted to Steve Staios' press conference and a whole lot more. Thank you for being just fine with us on the Postcast, where the Ottawa Senators lose 3-2 in overtime to the Boston Bruins. Next up, Saturday, the New York Rangers come to the CTC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow on the Locked On Senators podcast. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.